Welcome back, folks. Today we are looking at the BeagleV-Fire. This was the highly requested video from the competition or the giveaway I did 2 videos ago. And there's a bit of background noise. It's not the best time to be recording this, but it's the only opportunity I've got right now because it's only, what's that say, 25 degrees and tomorrow it's going to be 40 and I don't want to record in that. So we're going to have a look at the BeagleV-Fire, named after that for the PolarFire MCU that's on there, which is pretty damn awesome. It's got some things that I've never seen before and I'm going to be really talking carefully about because it's so far outside of my understanding. But I want all of your comments and your suggestions on what I could do with it and how it can be used or what you want me to test, because these are $150 plus shipping on DigiKey. That's not sponsored or anything. I bought this because you all wanted to see it. So we'll have a look at the key features of this, how you connect to it, how you flash it, what sort of power it draws, what the OS or the image it comes with look like, how fast it is, do some benchmarks if we get some time. First though, we do have a little bit of housekeeping. So first and foremost, I'm not going to have adverts enabled on my videos for the first month or so each time I upload them, because I have a fundamental issue with the way that this platform is forcing ads now. It really bothers me. And look, I make pretty much no money from ads anyway. I'll be lucky to make $1 per video per month. Next up, I've got a really lovely friend who's got a YouTube channel that's all equestrian. So if you're into anything horses, dressage, or just lovely English ladies with an accent in the Australian countryside, it is Highland Eventer, and I'll put a link to her latest video here, which is really sweet. She's just gotten back into YouTube. She's going to be hopefully focusing on it a bit more, her and her daughter and her horses. And I'll put a link to her channel below. She is absolutely fantastic. I'd love if you could go show her a little bit of support. Even just watch one of her videos, just to give her those views and see if you're into it. Next up, I do have another channel myself. That's the cooking channel, which you might have heard of before. Link to a video that side this time there. That's all more like how to cook steak, how to cook fried rice, how good Kmart kitchenware is, testing new things as they come out, that sort of stuff. And I'll be doing one soon about another induction cooker. Thank you, Ryan, for lawn mowing right next to my workshop. I'll be doing one on another induction cooker soon because I have heaps of induction cooker videos over there. Now, I also have a web shop, which I'll put a link to below, but I sell things like this. I don't sell this one, but I sell like LuckFox, MilkV, Pine64, a whole pile of accessories because there's no one else in Australia that stocks them. So I'm stocking them. I'm starting to build these relationships with the vendors too. I'm also still including these free PCB rulers with every order. And hopefully this weekend I'll finish the bigger version, like the 15 and the 30 centimeter version that you'll be able to buy. But these I'm giving away for free with every order still. Next up, I also have to thank PCBWay. These awesome sports are continuing to sponsor this video and sponsor the channel and support everything I'm doing, which is insane. And as you know, I've been doing a lot of MilkV or Milk5 Duo content. So I've started looking at some potential layouts or structures or forms for cases. Just, I do a bit of 3D printing myself, but this is their 3D printing. This is the FDM print using a slightly soft material that I want to try out, just, for how well it clips together. It is a little bit soft, probably too soft. So I also tried out this other material, which is like a translucent material. Now, this design I just ripped straight off the internet. I haven't customized it or tidied it up much, but I do like this translucent look, and it's just got the one hole at the end for the USB port. It doesn't have anything for the headers, so I'm going to make some variations of these and probably put them in the shop. But I thought I'll also just put some paint in the infill for one of them. So you can see there, it's got my logo, it's got the MilkV Duo logo in the font. And I'm really liking this design, so I might stick to this style of semi-transparent. And I picked these just because, MilkV do so much in pink. And put those in the shop. So let me know what you think. But these 5, I'm going to give away. One of them does have a slight manufacturing defect. That's why they threw the extra in. I'm going to give these away to the next 5 MilkV Duo 64 or 256 meg orders on my shop, link below. But these were made by PCBWay, who make, they've got a store where you can buy stuff like a solder mask scraper. You can buy PCBs, like prototype PCBs, 10 of these for stuff all, like $5. And I've got a link to that below as well. And as you can see, all their quality, like I use them for so much stuff, and all their quality is fantastic. Everything comes nicely wrapped. If there's a defect, they do it again. If something doesn't look right, like the layering here, they contact you and they talk to you about it. So these are for free to the next 5 orders on my shop for the relevant product. PCBWay support this channel and you should support them too. You get $5 discount using the code below as well, so go do that. Now that's nearly all of the housekeeping over with in the first 5 minutes too. The last bit of housekeeping I just wanted to say, if you could like this video if you want to see more like this, and if you could subscribe to the channel if you like this content overall. Most of you aren't subscribed, which blows my mind, but the algorithm really likes it, and I'd love to be able to put more time into these. Currently I spend about 1 day a fortnight on these videos, and I do really enjoy it. That's why I do it. I'd love to be able to put more time in, but that does mean I'll have to take some time off my day job. So if you want to support it and make it happen, do that. I think I've got a Patreon too if you want to do that. I don't know what rewards I'll give you, but there's a Patreon link. I'll put that below. Anyway, back to the unboxing. Where the hell did I just lose that? There we go. Of the BeagleV-Fire, or the BeagleV-Fire. I've not opened this yet, so let's have a look at how to open it. In fact, I'll use one of my rulers, and you can use these rulers for applying solder paste. That's actually what I usually use them for. But they're pretty cool. They're only a mil thick. Why is that? Oh, it's just really stiff, and I didn't break it. For a mil, that's pretty good. Just FR4. First box opening. All right, you get a little card with some instructions. That's pretty handy. So they've got dedicated domain for this. So that's pretty impressive. Bit of foam and the product itself in a nice reusable bag. Excellent. Nice packaging. Nice size and shape. Very basic. It's very interesting that it's manufactured by Seed Studio too. And they got some great stuff. They're not a sponsor or anything, but I do always check their website out for new products. Now we want to have a look at the key features. Now, for those of you that don't know this, there is one really, really cool feature. And that's kind of fundamental to what makes this so awesome. Something that's really, really cool is this PolarFire SoC. This is the MPFS025T, which is a 4-core RISC-V SoC with an additional core as a watchdog, and with an FPGA layout built in as well. So it's kind of everything in one. Now your 4 RV64 cores, off the top of my head, are U54s by Sci-Fi, which are a really good core. They have RVV 0.7.1, unfortunately. This has been around for about 3 months, and I reckon they'll do another one with RVV1. Then the watchdog core, off the top of my head, is an E51. And that's really cool because, you know, these Beagle boards are typically Cortex A8, and they are doing more and more of this BeagleV stuff with RISC-V processors. Now, what we also have on here is your P8 and your P9 header, as usual, which you'd hope for. You've got some UART pins there. You've got an E-keyed M2 slot there for your Wi-Fi. What have we got here? We have some eMMC. We have our RAM, so it's got, off the top of my head, 16 gig of eMMC on board and 2 gig of RAM. We have a MIPI CSI connector. We have Ethernet down here, terminal screws, which is really awesome. Oh, the whippersnipper's going now. USB-C power. Over here, we've got an array of user-accessible LEDs, along with a user-accessible button and the reset button. Check out those tiny magnetics there for the Ethernet. That is really cool. On the back then, we have this SYZYGY, how do you pronounce it? SYZYGY, SYZYGY port, which is stupid high speed. This is designed for like 12 gigabit interconnects. And then of course we also have a TF or an SD card slot. So this is a complex board that does some really cool stuff. Mostly though, it's a quad core RISC-V SoC that also has FPGA fabric. So if you know anything about like Verilog or, you know, designing your own processors, that's exactly what this is for, and it's meant to come with the right gateway for it too. This form factor is also compatible with the BeagleBone Black, so if you've got any header boards like the Adafruit boards or anything like that, they should be compatible with this one, almost certainly. I can't guarantee because I don't have any to test it, but that's what all the doco says. So, Ethernet on board, Wi-Fi optional, UART for your serial connection, and there might be some USB-C, but I'm assuming not. That's probably power, and it might act in, might have a device mode. Sorry, host mode by default. As always, you can probably also modify the device tree and turn that into a different mode if need be, because the controllers are generally pretty universal now. Now, onto the documentation and software. I won't show it off on the computer. I'll put a link below and a screenshot up here. The documentation's quite good. Not excellent, but I reckon it's quite good. And the image they just released, one Ubuntu image. So the image I've got here now is the latest, released in November 2023. So it's about 3 months old. There's, I guess, the first one they released with this. And it probably has an image on there. So we'll test that out. But flashing it works in a really interesting way. So first up, we're just going to plug in some power and see what sort of power this thing draws. We won't even know if it's booted up to anything yet. We're just going to see off the bat what this draws. Good information to have. Those terminal blocks are 5 volt, by the way. I'm not sure what voltage regulator it has, but I'd stick to whatever the documentation says, because for 150 bucks you don't want to mess around and find out. That's drawing half an amp, so 2.5 to 2.7 watt is not bad. You can see it's got 4 of the user LEDs on. The user button does nothing. The reset drops it down to 1 LED, so there's probably some OS running on there. How quickly does that go to? 3. Was there 4, or was I counting wrong? Because those blue LEDs are pretty bloody vivid. So that's really cool. What we're going to do, though, is grab the good old trusty CP2104. And I've got these for sale in my shop, too. I've got these USB Type A to C cables in my shop for sale, too. I think I've even got, probably not this one, I pinched this from a UPS, but I think I've got some Type A micro cables. So we'll want to plug this in here. We're not going to use the 5 volt, but we will use the ground to make sure we have a common ground. So out of all the pins on here, I'm only going to use ground, TX and RX. And then on here, that's going to be, what have we got? No connect, TX, RX, no connect, ground. Interesting layout. All right, my ground is purple. So ground is there, and the reason you do this is because Serial is pretty picky. Its timings can be pretty tight, especially like 1150-200 or so. Now what have I got there? Purple is ground, TX is light grey, so we'll line that up with the RX over here. Got RX over there and TX there. So yeah, you always want to have a common ground. They are going back to the same USB connector, but you can have different resistances over different lengths and types of cable. So keeping the common ground with the signal is always a really good thing to do. Now, let's jump over to the computer. Going to launch PuTTY. Going to make sure that UART's working, and then reboot it and see what we actually get, what it's booting to. Checking device manager just to see what this has come up as. It is COM4, and now I've not checked the documentation, but I'm going to assume, because it's a Sci-5 U54, actually, yeah, I'm guessing that's what would be doing the output. It's going to be 1150-200 and most likely with no flow control. That it is. Alrighty, so you can see here it's decompressing from ENVM to the L2 scratch. It's passed, sorry, it is booting and insisting that it's auto scrolls. What do we got in here? Polarfire SoC. There you go, you can see the hell version that's flashed with. It's got all sorts of really good information there. Board equals BeagleV-Fire, that's going to be the BeagleV-Fire. OpenSBI. Compile information. Okay, you can see our booting damn OS. Go back. Yeah, alright, so you can see our 2 gig of RAM there. Attempting to select eMMC, past user button not pressed, press the key, enter CLI, escape to skip time in 1 second, CLI boot, interrupt timeout, and then it starts booting. So, initializes everything, attempts to boot from eMMC, validates all the headers, finds the image, checks the CRC. That's then passed on to U-boot, and off she goes. So U-boot quickly works out what's going on, optionally gives you the boot menu, checks for other boot options, and then goes, yeah, sweet, we're going to execute this kernel that we're programmed to execute, and off you go. So let's just do that one more time, and time it this time. You can also see the change in current. So what I'll do is a cool little trick that this thing has. Right now, there's a 1 second timeout. So I've interrupted the timeout, and we are sitting there at this built-in prompt. So it's got some real basic stuff built into this prompt there, but that's all we need. And it's still drawing about your 2.5 watts, which is really good. That means you're going to be able to run this off pretty much any USB power source, including like a USB 1. Oh no, they were 100 milliamps, I think. So USB 2, the default's 500 milliamps. They've kept it within that, which is excellent. Now, there is a really cool thing that you can do here that I'm not going to do yet. I am going to hit reset so we can time this boot. 3, 2, 1, bang. All right, and you can always shave 4 seconds off this timing for those timeouts, which you can almost certainly disable. It's going to be the U-boot config and then the bootloader built into this. So when you flash it, there's probably going to be a bootm file or some config file like that. Now this is the second boot, so we're not going to take into account anything it might be doing on the first boot, and this might have been booted already as well back in the factory for QC. Hit 600 milliamps then. So if it's expanding the partition or anything like that, we just don't know. Now, it tells you in this splash here, as you can see, that it's got a 2023 October 19th image there, which is excellent. They're using the ISO date format, which I love, but they give you the default username and password. They also have a web console built into this, which is really interesting. So it's using its host name. It's going to be MDNS. You might want to use its IP. Might not be showing that because I obviously don't have it plugged into anything here. But that's really cool, so we'll have a look at that in a sec. I'm going to have to, aren't I? Now, if we log in with Beagle, oh, and not caps lock, Beagle, temp, password. That's a bit of a lag. It might be doing a DNS lookup or something there for its host name. That's pretty standard. What have we got though? 6.1 kernel. That is awesome. Very, very happy with that. We can see our 4 cores, RV64, IMA, FTC, stock standard, U54, MC architecture, that's pretty normal. We have our 11 gig available. There is most likely some of that storage reserved for either that 5th core, which is your Watchdog core, or for the FPGA fabric. What else have we got? 3 minus M, nearly 2 gig there. So there's about half a gig reserved, obviously, for other functionality. That's normally in all of these. Pretty much every MCU now, every RISC-V MCU is going to reserve for some AI, you know, machine vision processing, for a Watchdog core, for another core doing something for added functionality. And that's what makes these things so bloody awesome. Now we want to have a look at, that was it, actually. That's the main things I'm curious about there. So, it boots fairly quickly. It's got a pretty good image, but what we haven't seen is how to flash it. Now, this I find really cool. Ooh, it comes with sudo. Excellent. Not everything does. I always install vim, screen, sudo, and nettools. So I got ifconfig. If you want to flash it with the latest image, like I have, like I'm going to do here, you got to interrupt its boot process right there, like we did before. You get 1 or 2 seconds. And then what you can do is you can type MMC. So that selects the eMMC interface because we've got no SD card there. But you can see if you type help that you do have a few things there that you can pick. So I picked MMC, it tried and it ended up on the eMMC, but you can pick SD card, QSPI, things like that. Built-in memtest is really handy too. The cool command though is this one, USB DMSC. So this puts it into host mode and emulates USB mass storage. So what I can do now is launch Balena Etcher. You see here, I've got my image ready to go. That text file is empty. I just wanted to remember what version I've got. And if we go flash from file and we grab this SD card image, when we look at targets, It helps if you're not as busted in the brain as I am, and you actually plug this into the computer. So we're going to have to unplug this and do it again. You can see where I've gone wrong here. So let's also just grab this USB breakout, plug that in over here, and interrupt it again. In fact, we just go eMMC, perfect, and then USB-DMSC. There we go, we heard the bloop, 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 and Windows is popping up complaining that it doesn't know about anything that's not Windows as normal. So back to Platima Etcher, we now have MSCC PolarFire SoC USB device. It's exposing the 16 gig that's built in, shows us the 3 letters there. One of those must be FAT32, because I only got 3 complaints. What do we got? D, no, E, there we go. So this is probably where you're going to be able to customize a little bit, and you can drop in your own DTB there. There's the image, there's the ITB file, whatever that is. I don't know enough. Select that and flash. So this is how you get the latest image, and you flash pretty much any storage medium you want, even without a SD card reader. You can see that it let us select SD before, and you can see in the background here that it's receiving its bytes. You can interrupt that if need be, but I think that functionality is really cool. I've not seen that anywhere else, so I really, really appreciate that. It's not the hugest, not the fastest thing in the world. It's doing 14 megasecond though, which is about the same as a slow SD card, but this is going to be all, there's going to be a lot of software abstraction between the actual hardware we're writing the USB interface here. So I'm assuming that the interface itself is going to be much faster. I'm also really glad that this has 2 gig of RAM, because that means we're going to be able to run Geekbench. Now, whilst that's going, I'm going to get some networking set up, so just hold with me for a minute here, and watch this time lapse whilst we listen to some whippersnippering. Alrighty, so I interrupted that slightly, just to get this little RUT240 going, which I'm just going to use as the local LAN for this. But you can see here, it's all flashed, and it wrote a bit more than it wrote because it started verifying, and I gave up because it can't be asked. So let's just have a quick look here. How much space is in this? 27 meg. Nah. Alright, so just go to the easiest way. How does this show the partition? Because I want to copy Geekbench across as well, but that's going to take up a bit of space. Oh, well, look at that. We go new simple volume, and we'll make it alright, fat. Is it not going to give me exFAT? No. Alright. Let's call it 2. And we'll copy Geekbench across there. I thought I had here, yeah. Ticking over. Look at that go. Not bad at all. So this interface is quite nice in my opinion. That's not very hot. I'm quite impressed. We'll grab the top on though, and we'll have a quick look at how hot it is here in its kind of booted environment, and then we'll have another look at how hot it gets in its final environment. Now, have a look at this thermal imaging when the camera wants to fully engage. That's interesting. Alright, so most of the heat is in the board, which means it's going to be, I guess, exposed underneath or from the solder pads of the MCU. What do we got? Yeah, so I'm not sure about that design. It might be worth putting a fan on this, but I don't think a heatsink is necessarily going to do much because there's not a huge amount of heat in that SoC to wick away. But we'll see what it's like once it actually gets going. Now we have the latest image in this. We've added our extra partition, which is pretty sweet. It explains why we couldn't see it all before. So back here in PuTTY, Control C, disconnects, and I guess we just go boot. Off she goes. And yep, sweet. Booting our kernel that we just flashed it with. And if it tries to expand, it's gonna fail because we just took up the rest of that space, which we really didn't have to. We could have put a little partition at the end, but who cares? By the way, this might be a once-off, this coloring. If you get this, whoever gets this is very lucky because I basically spray painted the front of it to fill it with black, and then had to sand the whole thing back with 120, 240, 400, and 600 grit to get a very similar finish to this one. So this finish that PCBWay did is excellent. And in case you have forgotten, don't forget to like and subscribe, or even just leave a comment. Any sort of engagement's really good. Gives me a bit of motivation, but also lets me know what you do and don't like, because I do this because I think you want me to share it. You might not want to. Or if you like some things more than others, I'll do more of those. But I'm going to do this anyway. I'll just share the good stuff. So here back in Putty, we can see the host name has changed, which is interesting. That could be because it doesn't have LAN yet. That's just part of the new image. But we can see as well it's the November 21 build. So, yep, it does have stuff built in. It's using Nginx for the web interface, which is pretty cool. Bugger off Windows. So it does do some things on first boot, which is going to slow down that first boot a bit. And we'll just have a look and see if the Linux image changed. I'm not even sure. It's 6.1 point something. .1.33 June of last year build. Alright. 6.1.33 still alright, so it's the same kernel, they've just updated from some of the user space, I guess. And they haven't changed how much RAM's allocated. And we'll also want to do sudo su temp wd. Let's see. It's got ifconfig built in. Oh, it's got vim built in. Doesn't have screen. I'll forgive it for that. The fact that it's got vim and ifconfig is bloody excellent in my opinion. They're my stock standards. Now, what we want to do first of all is have a look at this web interface that's exposed. There we go. Alright, so we've got a redirect to the documentation. That's something called cockpit. Ooh, which has redirected to a HTTPS interface. Alright, so they've just got a self-signed certificate there. This is cool. Alright, this is interesting. So, Beagle, temp PWB. Huh. This is really neat. I don't know what this is. I've not used this before. About web console, Linux server admin interface, project website. All right, this is really cool. I work with Linux every day and I've not seen this before. What the hell's going on? I quite like this though. So last login, the interface login history, CPU and memory usage. I'm gonna have to enable swap for that. Hostname performance, fingerprints, hardware details. What do we got in here? That's probably the Ethernet interface, I guess. So, yeah, don't know what else that'll be. Limited access. All right. Let's go into this administrator mode and see what else it gives us. So you can connect to multiple hosts from this too. That's neat. No logs to be had. Logs taking a while. I don't know. Accounts. Beagle. Oh. Wow, this would make managing systemd a lot easier. So, they've done a couple of things unique so far. They've got FPGA fabric, which is what they're all about. They've got the syzygy slot, which is really, really cool. They then have this awesome way of flashing any of the storage mediums over the USB cable, exposing it as a device, which I think is really, really kind of nice. It adds a lot of accessibility to it, so you don't even need... Actually, yeah, you'd still need a UART connection to interrupt the boot. But, I mean, they could have added a CP2104 chip to it and added a USB port, but that might be overcomplicating it. I've got mixed feelings about that. What do you think? Let me know. This video is already 41 minutes. I'm going to have to cut heaps of crap out of this. But then they've got this console built in, which is also just excellent. Package management, software update management, integrated terminal. I'm probably going to start using this for heaps of stuff. It's going to be hitting a bit of resource. Wow, it's really not using much resources at all. So that's my final thoughts on this. We'll have a look at the temperature again and just see if running this interface has done much for it. Where is our thermal camera? nah, it's not running too hot. I'll check it again when Geekbench is running, because that might make a difference. But so far, I think that's me done. This is a really cool product, especially if you're into FPGA and, you know, testing out your own chip designs and working with these interfaces. You know, if you want an FPGA dev board, this is really cheap for an FPGA dev board. They are normally hundreds of dollars, and this is $150. Good on Beagle for moving towards that RISC-V architecture, not paying that royalties. These MCUs, the PolarFire seems really good, and I've seen there's more coming out. This is truly open source, because that's what they do. These boards are open source. You can get everything you need to make this yourself. So I'm very impressed with this. I think it's worth $150. I'd love to know your thoughts below. Don't forget that I've got that web shop with BeagleV Duos, Pine 64, LuckFox Picos, and I'm also now a tier 1 with LuckFox, so I'm buying directly from them. When I put the next order through, I'm going to get my last nice little certificate as well, and I'm trying to go tier 1 with Milk5 or BeagleV. So the more you buy, the more incentive there will be for them to work with me. The volume's already looking really good though. So this free ruler will get thrown in. I love you guys and the support you give me. Don't forget to give Highland Eventer some love. She's doing great stuff, and she deserves it. She's just a lovely person who enjoys sharing as much as she can about equestrian stuff. Thank you all for coming. Thanks again to PCBWay for working with me, making these prototypes, sponsoring this video, and being great sports. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope if you're suffering through this heat wave like we are here, because it's already gone up 6 degrees since I started recording, that you're looking after yourself. Drink heaps of water, keep your aircon on, watch out for fires. Be good. Catch you guys next time.